Appreciate everybody that's in here already this morning. Let's get into the next topic, man. And that's Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo. And they have been reporting, and obviously we heard Grant Cohn. He was the one that touched on it. KP show tapped him and was like, "Hey, man, like, why is Kyle Shanahan not focused on the game?" And he's talking to Jimmy Garoppolo, and that was the extent of what KP said. He just kind of noticed that plays were going on, and Shanahan was just talking to Jimmy. So I guess Grant did some digging and found out that what was said. So he has somebody, and we do have people. I know a couple people on the 49ers. I know one person that gives me some insight like on the receivers and stuff. This person is kind of close to receivers with things that happens, tells me certain things that they hear from inside the building. I also know a coach on the staff, which out of respect, I don't reach out to him and ask him questions, but I do know somebody that's a coach on the staff. Maybe coming to off season, I'll like legitimately ask him some questions about certain things that transpired throughout this season. But it is not hard to have somebody inside the building, especially if you're just around it. All right. So Grant Cohn did say that, hey, I had somebody, I asked him about the situation, what was being said. And from what he said, Kyle Shanahan was saying to Jimmy Garoppolo, it's simple shit. uh, can you do it or not? And Jimmy said, yeah, I could do it. Now, there's two sides to this. One, from the coach's standpoint, like coaches just kind of talk like that, right? Like sometimes coaches, they talk about like, hey, man, like bro, like this stuff is simple. Like I'm laying it out for you, man. Just do it. And those conversations happen all the time, every game. I think the more intriguing part of this was everybody also said during that time, right before halftime, you had Trey Lance warming up. And that was like, all right, like you start to piece these things together and might be a bit of a conspiracy theory, but I don't think that it's outside of the realm of possibility that this was something that was potentially going to happen. A benching of Jimmy Garoppolo at halftime. If you guys remember what that first half was like, man, it was bad. It was bad. There wasn't. I wasn't confident about what had been, transpiring throughout the first half. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, 49ers they're so doing this and they're doing that. The Bears are not a good football team. I repeat, Bears are not a good football team. And the Bears aren't good, and the 49ers are losing to them at halftime. Like, what does that make the 49ers? Again, we'll go back to the first couple games. And I wasn't talking on here yet. We came up with this morning show a little bit later. But you go back to the first couple weeks. If you listen to Locked On 49ers, then you heard me talk about this. Matter of fact, Brian Peacock and I took a lot of heat from the actual 49er fans about this. And they were like, hey, you guys are too negative. You guys are too negative about this. The 49ers are 2-0. Just be happy. Just be happy. 49ers are 2-0. And my thing was, and I was talking about it at the time, what are the expectations for the 49ers? The standard is not the Detroit Lions. The standard is not the Philadelphia Eagles. Like everybody said, oh, 49ers, they'll start 2-0. That right? Now, again, is a lot easier said than done. They did start off on the road, both road games. So those are really good wins to, have those victories on the road. But that was the big thing, right? Like, 49ers, they should be starting off 2-0. Like this is a favorable start. So they won both games, but it was just something odd about it, right? It wasn't games that they just completely dominated. The Lions game for the better part of that game, but still weird things happened. The Philadelphia Eagles game was ugly, right? I mean, they didn't score until going into halftime, just really odd the way it was playing out. And I didn't have a lot of confidence with what was going on with the team at that time, even though they beat two teams. But I'm thinking, like, if the 49ers are this championship team that we think they are, like, they should really kind of boat race these teams, right? Like, it should be, like, no doubt 49ers just a better team. And I walked away feeling like, damn, man, maybe Philadelphia is good. It turns out they're not. And then the 49ers rattled off 4 straight losses. And that let me know, like, man, there's a chance 49ers are just not a good team. And maybe they won't be who we think that they are, right? So I look at those situations and I look at, you know, everything that kind of transpired. And then you look at the Bears game and you look at how they won the game. And we're happy about it, right? Like now the 49ers are, 3-4. But you start to look at the victories, and I'm not saying All victories are good victories at this time. You got to get in the rhythm. But you look at these victories and you're like, all right, man, God, you beat the Lions. They ain't won a game yet. You beat the Eagles. Other teams have really dominated them. And now you beat the Chicago Bears, who are coming off of a game where they got destroyed by Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? Was it 35-3 or something like that? Like, it was just a shellacking, right? So I look at that and I look at how the 49ers, when you look at the final score, and they won by like 11 points. And it's like, okay, that was a good win. But was it? Like, the way it looked, the way the first half was, and they come out and it's just like you're not really punching them in the mouth. And I think Kyle Shanahan is looking at it like, Jimmy, you are the quarterback. Again, and we've talked about it. You are the quarterback. I need you to look better, especially against teams that we should be dominating. And heading into halftime, up into that 50-yard pass, that was not the case. I even put out the little meme picture of Will Smith with the hat sideways and him looking all sad and stuff. Like that was how I felt in the first half. So the fact that there is potentially being reported that Kyle Shanahan was kind of scolding Jimmy Garoppolo on the sideline, saying like, "Brett, like this is simple stuff. Can you do it or not?" I really think that was a conversation that happened. Then you hear reports of Trey Lance warming up on the sideline. Now, would Trey Lance have come in and did what Jimmy Garoppolo did the second half? I don't know. I still I feel like, and I saw somebody say, well, 49ers could have easily been 0-2 if Trey Lance had started the first two games. I feel like 49ers would be better now for that. It's hard to expect. But I don't know if they would have started 0-2. I think, maybe they could have found ways to win, whatever the case is. But Jimmy Garoppolo, and we look at that game, and it's like Jimmy Garoppolo had a good game. He had a good game. And I even said that, like, okay, Jimmy, like, he needed that. I went back and watched that game last night, and I was just like, it didn't. I think I saw the way that it ended, and I think we were really happy to see that the 49ers came away with a W, but I went back and watched it, and I was just like, it's still weird. It's still weird. And okay, they beat the Chicago Bears, but I think we're supposed to beat them a little bit more handily if we are going to be who we want to be. And right now, I don't think we're that. So I am excited to see this game against the Arizona Cardinals. Again, the 49ers have been in a lot of these games where 4 straight losses, and they probably easily could have won all 4 of those games. So it's hard to just say that the 49ers are a bad team. But again, the bad thing that they were doing was finding different ways to lose. I think right now they're going to have to figure out and find ways to continue to win. String together these wins and start to believe that you really are who you think you are. And I think right now, as fans, we think that's a good team. This is a good team that has to take that next step somehow. I think as players, they're feeling that as well. But now you got to do it. You got to do it.